that, has Cliffjumper finally suffered enough? Maybe. We'll see. So most people tend to assume that I hate Cliffjumper. And look, there is no denying that Cliffjumper is Cheetor's great-grandfather. The dude with a ton of initiative, a huge mouth, a bigger ego, and not 1% of the self-reflection it would take to realize that he sucks, and everyone around them wants to strangle him, not just for his incompetence, but the fact that he will find a way to make every situation he's a part of worse before anyone has a chance to stop him because he refuses to pause for one moment and just think. In other words, he intentionally sucks, and it's hilarious to see him get his shit pushed in. I don't actually hate Cliffjumper. I kinda like him. Some of that is nostalgia from when I was a kid and I didn't realize how useless he was supposed to be. Part of that is it's just funny to see an overconfident guy get into rumbles that he loses every time. It's a fine role to play as far as the audience is concerned. What I hate is his Earthrise figure. And that prompts the question, why? Well, it's time I bless you all with the reasons I hate Earthrise Cliffjumper. Or Cliffjump ER. Why is this my punching bag? And honestly, the reason is pretty simple. This was the figure that made me realize War for Cybertron could fail me. It is by far not the worst Earthrise figure. It has withstood a remarkable amount of abuse over these last few years. So it's at the very least built to take a bomb when others from the first wave are famous for breaking, and I desperately needed a Cliffjumper in my collection when I got him. I was super excited for the figure. I was looking forward to this, and I had reason to do so. Siege was amazing. The worst figure in Siege was like a 6 out of 10. A bad figure from that line was better than average. But then I grab this thing and everything it does is at best a 4 out of 10. And that is why I hate this. Not because it does anything unbearably, but because it's bad at everything and my expectations were set so high, only for them to crumble when faced with Cliffjumper. Realizing that Earthrise would not live up to Siege in more than just my disappointment that they were going away from the cyberpunk of the previous line and back to G1. Let's start with the look. This isn't heinous, it's not hideous, but it doesn't look nearly as accurate as everyone makes it out to be. And look, I too was blinded back when I first saw this in its promotional pictures. I thought this looked exactly like him. Cut to me getting it in hand and I couldn't place it, but it just looked wrong. Hilariously, the buzzworthy Bumblebee version of this figure is the one that I think everyone thinks they're looking at when handling this guy. That thing really throws into stark contrast just how off this figure was on the coloration front alone. This is teenage going through a phase Cliffjumper, where he traded out every lighter colored thing he owned for black and red. And normally I say black and red are always a crowd pleaser, but maybe it's just the sheer quantity of red versus the black, but he doesn't pop at all. Honestly, he's just kind of boring looking. And it's not just the paint job that makes this look unlike the character. He's so much dumpier than Cliffjumper is supposed to be. Everyone kind of associates him with the Bumblebee body type because he is so often a retool of the franchise's yellow, undeserved mascot, which this also is, and it shows. Shut up, yes he is. They started with the skeleton of a Masterpiece 1.0 Bumblebee, then removed like 6 steps from the transformation, cut it in half, and glued it nutsack to noggin. Then used parts forming to try and plaster over all the flaws that arose from the culmination of all those bad ideas. And yes, it's small, and I don't care that it's small. I care that it sucks. I care even more that it sucks and it's small, but if it didn't suck, I wouldn't hate this thing like I do. I know people try to defend the size by saying it's in scale. Okay then, why does it pose badly? Shut up, yes it does. Why does it transform badly? Why does it parts form? Why is it painted wrong? Why is it so hard to get it to stand up straight? Why are the proportions so bad? Why does it have the giant fuck-off Hunchback of Notre Dame hump? This is half the size of normal. Where did the budget go? When I pick this up, I'm holding less plastic, less paint, and less engineering than typical all at once. Where did my money go? Don't say the gun, I will slap you. It didn't go to the engineering. That was made by someone 10 years before this figure came out. It didn't go to the plastic when they used half as much as normal. It didn't go to the paint when you think to make up for everything they were saving on, they'd at least cover every surface this thing has like it's a premium figure. But no, instead, this has about the same percent of paint as a normal figure. As far as I can see, what they spent the budget for this figure on was cocaine. And I feel like a crazy person for being the only one who sees this. But every time I do the math, I go, no wait, I'm right. Let me get off that rant and rant about something else now. The stupid, awful, dumpy body of this thing that flies in the face of the far more athletic, though stocky guy from the show is a real negative on the posing. His stupid, short, stumpy, shitty little arms, which should be a whole fist length longer than they are, can't even cross his chest a little. If you try up at the top of the windshield, then you can get him to dab at the corner of his mouth like he's clearing some drool off the gaping hole he uses to suck air too loudly, the fucking mouth breather. But go down even a little and this dude can barely reach his own kidney. A ball itch has got to be torture for this loser because he can't get anywhere close to reaching. His life is pain. Even if you spin him at the waist, he can't get there. And this is why I say the posing is bad. Because even though all his joints basically pull the most boring kind of average, the body is just in the way of itself because of how phoned in the design process was. Head sculpt is the one redeeming feature of this mode. It looks pretty good. It looks like the character. There's not really any room to complain about this. It should have been on a much better figure because it's pearls wrapped around the neck of a swine here. But hey, there's like one aspect of this thing that's like a 6 out of 10. You get a gold star. So the look of the robot mode is a dumpy, ugly, small, cheap piece of underpainted crap that gets in its own way at every turn, making it unfun to handle and impossible to pose in a way that makes it look even a little cool. The accessory is big, but 86 Grimlock comes with a gun bigger than the figure itself, and he came with Wheelie, who was also bigger than this, who also came with a slingshot, an accessory-forward accessory, and Wheelie was painted more than this. Now, I'm not saying that this is worse than 86 Grimlock's Wheelie. That thing is a useless piece of garbage. However, it is not more impressive than that thing. 86 Grimlock didn't need accessories to be worth the price. This needed something, anything, to be worth half of what we paid for it. And what it got is just a longer gun than average, with maybe slightly above the average amount of paint, and a nonsensical engine block on the back, which for some reason I cannot begin to comprehend, has a peg hole in it that is designed to prevent you from plugging in anything other than the parts-forming backpack piece. So I will ask again the question I asked so long ago. Why? So this isn't doing anything for me, and I resent the fact that I've got like 4 or 5 of these cannons now. They only made sense for Cliffjumper one time. I don't want an armory of these things. Posability sucks for the reasons I went over before, but in a vacuum, it's just painfully average. Head pretty much only swivels. Shoulders pull a fair bit more than a 90, normal 90 elbows, mafia elbows, wrist swiv, back crunch that's almost impossible to not engage, right leg is unimpeded going forward, left leg is, because fuck you, that's why, and are unimpeded out to the side and back. Normal 90 knees, and feet that only have a pivot, but at least it's a huge one. So some decent joints, but overall, this whole thing is very restrictive. Even were it not for the body getting in its own way, you wouldn't be putting this thing in any super dynamic poses. Theoretically, this is fine for a kid's toy, but when we are paying what they charged here, there needs to be some point where this excels, and that point just doesn't exist. Transformation sucks. It's just a terrible version of the masterpiece Bumblebee, with a few less steps, a twist at the waist, a stupid panel that flips up in front of the face to hide it, which always feels lame, one of the worst parts-forming pieces ever. It's just so stupid, and it makes up so much of both modes while being a pain in the ass to deal with, and if you lose this part, which people have told me they have done, because not everyone is a careful adult collector like me, then the alt mode will be forever incomplete. And the goddamn thing locks together too well. So going back into robot mode is a needless frustration. Going into vehicle mode, not fun, not engaging, not good. But going into robot mode is an actual complete and total pain in the ass. And then the car mode is fine, but weird. It's like it's trying to find the midpoint between being a penny racer and an actual Porsche, but that literally makes no sense. The result is a realistic car that looks to be about the size of a shoe. I cannot imagine how short you would have to be to fit comfortably in this fucking clown car. This looks at a Miata's size in a jealousy, and I've driven one of those before. It's like packing yourself in a suitcase and throwing your body down the street, feeling every atom of the road beneath you. I don't even want to think of what this would ride like. I don't want to crap too hard on this mode because this is the figure's one like 5 out of 10 score. But the scale of this thing makes no sense. If they wanted this to be like a real car, it should have been bigger. And if they weren't going for a real car, they should have made this look more correct. Again, it's not bad, it's just silly small, which would have been fine if it weren't going for realism, but they're trying to have it both ways. And by itself, that's not a problem, but when you put it in a lineup of other Earthrise vehicle modes, it gets real weird real fast. So the alt mode is okay. It's only a problem in what's kind of a meta sense, but I feel at this point I must have conveyed just how much the rest of this figure is insulting. This thing screams to me, yeah, they'll buy it because it's G1. We don't have to work to earn their money. They just owe us for showing up at all. They cheaped out on every turn. They took the skeleton of an existing figure and retooled it a little. Cheap. They made the figure smaller than ever and hid behind the excuse that it's in the name of scale while doing nothing else of value to replace what we lost in materials. Cheap. It's painted the same as ever. Cheap. It poses average for the time, though I think that average is now below the norm, but I can't hold that against this thing. What I can hold against it is the proportions making it even worse in this category and them doing nothing to fix that. Cheap. The transformation straight sucks and it parts forms because they either gave up partway through designing it, or in an effort to seem like they weren't ripping themselves off, they retooled themselves into a corner, so the parts forming became necessary to fix the tremendous cracks they accidentally built into the figure. Cheap. The weapon does not make up for it, and I really needed an explanation in the directions for what the hell I was supposed to do with an engine that has the trunk of a car stuck to it. And the alt mode doesn't hurt this thing further, but it does it no favors. If you love this thing, I don't want to convince you to stop. I just hope that people will finally stop telling me that I'm crazy for hating this thing because the figure's actually good, bro, you're just being a hater. No, it's not. It's objectively a bad figure that charges way too much for way too little, but that doesn't mean that you have to hate it like I do. But that also means that there's no damn reason that I should like it myself, and I don't. But I will keep this thing because how can I hit it anymore if I get rid of it? Anyways, it's time for the monthly shoutouts. If you'd like one yourself, just follow the instructions on your screens. Hannenberg TFCSR would like you to check out their YouTube channel, where they make reviews, stop motions, and post clips from the Transformers medias. The TTV channel and their second account, Keep the Piece, as in a piece of Lego, are a bunch of Lego fans from around the world. Follow their two channels for all things Lego and Bionicle, as well as video games related to that, maybe even some shows. Scrambled Eggs 178's birthday was 12 days ago on the 20th. Happy belated birthday. I hope you are not feeling the claws of time's decrepit hands scratching across your back like me. Happy birthday to I Am Not Me. You have a pretty sweet collection, my guy. Hope it improved even more with the gifts you got. Big Benny Boy is building custom LEGO Transformers. Give them a watch if you would like to see how to make your own Bumblebee or Rise of the Beasts Mirage, which isn't finished yet. Rodimus Prime Ukraine 1 wants you to check out his collection page on Cybertron.com, where he held a funeral for Rid Deluxe Windblade. R.I.P. R.I.D. Windblade. Metroplex will mourn you deeply. The Czar of Games is one of the first people I ever shouted out, and has since lost his old channel, so check out his new one for Beyblade videos. I think that's actually a new kind of shout-out for me. And he thinks he might become one of the Horde, and start doing stop motions. After having been banned because YouTube's crappy copyright system, Wagnevo is back from the Shadow Realm to bring you the show Alchohol and Anime Night. Go give their channel some traffic so we can revive him to the algorithm. SalooBc is making concise but detailed Transformers reviews and showcases for LEGO dinosaurs. Lots of LEGO tonight. He's most of the way to 2,000 subs, so let's see if we can get him there by the end of the year. Unit Rhapsody just had eye surgery and either has temporary or permanent vision loss. They weren't clear which, and didn't respond to me when I asked for clarification. I really hope your eyes are doing better, and I wish you a speedy recovery. Mr. Devious, or Madhouse Studios, wants you to watch his video on the Dreamwave Transformers comics that he spent so much effort putting together it actually hurt him. I know that feel, my guy. Happy birthday just yesterday on the 1st to All Hail Megatronus Prime. I'm sorry, man. That must be a metric pain in the ass to deal with. Check out their YouTube and their TikTok. JT reviews food. Now that's definitely a new type of thing for me to shout out, if you don't count someone reviewing beer as food. Check him out for that, and some secret that he has in the future he won't tell me. King Kyle 5 is back again, and still looking to do commission work to help support his family. So if you're looking for a Pixel ID or some other artwork, hit him up. And if you're not interested in that, then there's a series of charities in the description he wants you to consider. Philippe Lamoth would like me to check out his sweet customs. I love what you did with them. They all look pretty sick. In robot mode, I love the black and green one the most, but in Tetrajet mode, I love how the black and red one and the blue and black one's nose cones fade to white. And their wings do too. It looks like they're breaking atmosphere. Your paintwork is clean. Cring Kimson is making LEGO Transformers on Instagram. Why is LEGO today's stop-motion animation? He's gotten a shout-out before, but since then has upped his game. And fair play. Yeah, these are on a new level compared to your old stuff. John Goals, the man who sold me Die Atlas, would like you all to know he has plans. That is all. Cohen Kendrick wants you all to see Freddy. He's a very good boy. Lastly, KingDareth 09's birthday is just 12 days away on the 14th. Happy birthday soon. And he'd like you to watch his Hungry Shark Evolution playthrough. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough of what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.